there's a film coming out about a book that you wrote, A Prayer Before Dawn. Um, let's just go back to the beginning. How did you actually end up in Thailand? What was the initial reason for coming here?
The initial reason I just finished a rehabilitation in 2004, so I decided to make a change, and I ended up living in Bristol, and I met a guy who was in recovery for quite some time, and
Yeah,
he'd been traveling around the world, and it was quite like the stories he was telling me. It was quite like it felt like it was something I wanted to do. So he suggested Thailand. It was either Thailand or the Himalayas.
yeah. Was he making it sound like the beach?
Yeah, he sold it to me pretty well there. But obviously his motives for going were completely different from mine.
Right. Yeah,
We ended up having a disagreement as part and company.
I see.
I
So
didn't,
yeah, so it was like a kind of a way to escape what was going on in the UK and just get away from everything and try and kind of start a new life and kind of reinvent yourself in Thailand and what.
well, initially it was sort of like it was just a 3 month backpacking holiday. There was never any plans to be staying there. You know, we got a ticket and open return for a year.
Right. Yeah.
We parted company, and I ended up living in Chiang Mai. Watched a lot of Muay Thai boxing, and because I boxed in the UK from an early age, fight was always within me. You know what I mean? It was always something that was my kind of escape. Because, like, in the ring, you know, when you're out there, when you get out, and you can put a plaster on a few cuts and bruises, and mend a broken arm and stuff like that. But outside was the real world where I had to deal with like relationships, and
Yeah.
I was emotionally immature. I was quite young minded for my age,
Yeah.
due to the emotional development
All
being
right.
stunted
Yeah.
by using drugs.
So you ended up going to Chiang Mai, and when did you start getting into the fighting? I'd really like to talk more about the Muay Thai as well. How did that come about?
I remember going to watch a fight with a friend.
Mm.
The guy initially went over there with, and it was quite ferocious.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a part of it. And my friend looked at me and knew what I was thinking, and said, "Look, don't ever get in the ring with these, because you'll end up getting weighed in." So you tell me not to do something, I'll do the opposite.
Right. How did you find Muay Thai from a training perspective? How did you find it different from, say, the Western boxing that you had studied and fought in the UK before you came here?
I found that, like, the stance was completely different.
Right.
It was more head movements, just slow
Yeah.
to begin with.
Yeah. Essentially, I mean, I've trained in boxing and Muay Thai and in the UK and here, and I found that a lot. The difference was that the Muay Thai is a lot more static, isn't it? They don't have so much head and foot movement, and obviously you have the knees and the elbows and the grappling.
Mm-hmm.
How did what sort of transitions? How did you find the transition from the from the technical Western boxing to the Muay Thai? How long did you find? How long did it take you to get really good at it? How did you find the difference?
It took me about, I'd say, 3 months to
Hmm.
get to a place where I was comfortable enough to defend and attack in the way Muay Thai combatants do, really. Because boxing, it's completely different. So at
Yeah.
first, I was in the ring and I was boxing. It was like, I was avoiding their kicks, but I was going in with a left and a right, and but I'd always get caught with a kick. I mean, as you know, when you get kicked in the side, you're out. So
Yeah.
there's an air that runs right down the back. The side skin fingers. It's really, really floors you. So after a few of them, I thought, I don't really want to get it. And they were showing me things that they wouldn't show anyone else. A few dirty sex as well.
Right.
I learned pretty much how to grapple, how to pull forward, so you didn't have the opportunity to use the knees.
Yeah.
I learned how to cheat, I learned how to kind of slip a few moves, and
Check.
you
Yeah.
know, it was pretty, in the end, it was pretty kind of, pretty good.
How many fights did you get in the UK before you came in the Western boxing?
Fights in the UK,
Yeah.
about 15.
Okay. Right. And what weight were you then, Billy?
I was only young, I was more like 9, 10 stone. I was lightweight. I was only like, I was fighting as a kid.
Yeah. I
And
see.
up until like juniors, so about 16, 17. And then, drugs came on the scene and my life just took a different path.
Yeah. So then so you were doing the Muay Thai then, am I right in saying in Chiang Mai in a camp there?
No, I wasn't in the camp. It was just kind of there. It was just in by the night bazaar. It was just a show fights with loads of girly guys around it. It was called Boxing Stadium in Sunday.
So you were
And
yeah. So you were having
yeah,
fights at that time, Billy. You were actually training, but were you fighting at that time in the ring and with ties?
yeah, that was me saying it. Fighting. I'd get in. I'd have at least 5 fights a night. 3 to 4, 5 fights a night. It was, and then we go around and we take tips and we
Yeah.
split the tips. Me, the other boxer, and training.
So what was your day like then? You'd wake up, train.
Yeah,
What?
I'd wake up. I'd wake up and I'd go for one of these lovely healthy breakfasts that I've got.
Nice.
Full of fruit yogurt, pure orange juice.
Yeah.
And then, what's about through the day, maybe have a massage, maybe go down the gym and have a little kick on the bag, shadow boxing. And mostly it was great training.
Right. So you were fighting pretty much every night at that point, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I see. So what happened next with how did the drugs come in, and how did that go? How did you get caught? What happened next with that?
Well, there was two kind of like boxing stadiums that had gay bars, and one was Lake Curry and the one was Tappy Gate. And there was a guy from the other bar, whether he was called and
Udon, right? Yeah.
he come to his yard and said, we want to sell this leather for funders. He knew that everything was out to happen by that time, and I was struggling to every time with me. There was fighting, there was to what savings he had, kind of like unity to almost rotten.
Yeah.
So to from experience, yeah, I ended up accepting his offer. Uh, However, I was my own best customer.
Okay. So after that, how did it get to the point where you ended up getting caught and going to prison?
There was a phone call I received. Uh, I one of the taxi drivers who was in the box, who was boxed with,
Yeah.
telling me that I'd left my running shoes in his cab, that was tucked up, and that he was willing to drop them off to where I was because he never knew where I lived. No,
Right.
no one did. And because I'd only just woke up, and I wasn't really fully awake or aware, I just sort of said, yeah, this is where I am. And then put the phone down, and then literally minutes later, it's something kind of like told me this phone call wasn't right. There was something behind it. There was something, like, intuitively, I knew there was something, different because
Yeah.
it was asking me. So I headed to the door, the apartment, opened it, looked out,
Uh-huh.
and seen these four guys at the bottom of the apartment building, running up the stairs. And we knew straight away, I mean, they weren't dressed, the rest of the civilian clothes, but I knew straight away that there was some kind of authority, whether it was a special force or undercover police.
Right. Yeah.
And they had guns out and they were running up the stairs, and I just panicked, shut the door, bolted it with a little slide bolt. Looked around, seen a whole load of drugs, and straight for them. Put them where the sun didn't shine. Sat down with my back against the door, and then noticed a Colt 45 that was on the side of the bed, and then it covered. I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do now?
So that was just for self-protection, was it? Just.
Yeah, that was just for self-protection. It was quite cheap, and everyone seemed to have one. I've been shot at a few times. I've never actually used it. It was just, it kind of made me feel safe that it was there, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then there was a knock, and the door handle was getting moved, and they were asking was he in, and I replied, he was in, and he said, police. And I knew they were the police, but to stall them, I asked them did they have any evidence to provide to prove that they were the police, and if they did, could they throw under the door? So
Yeah.
one of the officers threw his card, stuck his card under the door. He didn't need to because he already knew, but I still needed to stall because there was still kind of drugs that way. I needed to kind of hide on the person. So what I did then is once I got rid of them, I opened the door and that was it. They just came in, threw me to the floor, and then I just ransacked the room.
Yeah. How did the procedure go then with it? Because I know kind of what the Thai police can be like over here, and the cover-ups and the corruption and the way that so-called trials go and planted evidence, and they make you sign something in Thai and force admitting to things that maybe didn't happen. How did that procedure go? What's it really like when behind closed doors when that happens?
Oh, it was they were quite kind of intimidating. They were just put a piece of paper in front of me and asking me to sign it, and
Yeah.
putting to everything that stuff that we knew until it was stolen and not stolen it, and that was including my own motorbike that I purchased, moving,
So they were saying that you stole your bike that you had actually bought.
Yeah.
Nice.
And what he did was he had me standing at a table, at a control, pointing at the objects and to the picture.
Yeah.
And that was the evidence, that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, they always do that, don't they? Anyone who's watched a bit of Thai news can see where did they make you reenact the whole thing and then do the filming, the pointing, and were you on the news or?
Yeah, I was on the news. I was in the
Right.
papers.
Yeah.
I've actually still got the paper clip, and this I felt a little bit embarrassed because the front of the paper it was me, Sylvester Stallone, and a young lady that was
Nice.
in the movie. So that was the front cover, and it was inside. And one of the Thais translated Rambo's stuntman arrested.
Brilliant. That went down well with the production company then, Billy.
Well, the film was finished, so it was actually I think they still have a credit. It didn't change anything about it. You're still,
Yeah. That's
still there.
that's right. Yeah, because we forgot to mention because um, you before you did this you were like an extra, weren't you, with the action with the film crew and
No, no,
when
it's
they
quite more than an extra. And initially it was an extra, but then I was offered the role as a Sylvester Stallone stunt standing, and I was
right
quite confused. I said, look, I don't look nothing like Stallone. He said, hey man, it ain't got nothing about how you look. It's just about how your physical form is. Because what we need you to do is we need you to stand here, so we can have all the lights and the cameras in place.
right.
And that was basically what they wanted me to do, just stand there. So they set up the cameras, get all the light and the shadowing, and then I move out and he moves in.
That's right, because that was at the time. That was filmed in Chiang Mai, wasn't it? That was the last Rambo film that Sly made.
Yeah. That was the
Yeah,
2007.
I remember I was here when that was being filmed. Actually, it's kind of interesting because I know a lot of stunt movie guys here, and they would love to write a book and be in a film. And you ended up doing that one film and going to prison and doing that and more, which is quite impressive. I just find that ironic, But so yeah, I mean, how much of that extra work did you do? Was it just the Rambo film, or did you do
Yeah. It was just a Rambo film. I was also there when they were filming American Gangster with Denzel Washington.
Okay, yeah,
Uh,
I remember that. Yeah,
that was I think that was just after Stone or before. I'm not quite sure, but it was going to do that. But
yeah,
I
because
was just I was just approached in the gym. I was training by Stacy, a young Thai lady. Uh, all in on Thai, she approached and explained what she was doing, and she gave us, a card and took our details and said, would we be interested in
right, like a local agent for films. Yeah,
casting agent.
that's right. Yeah,
She was a casting agent, and she was looking photographs, took her phone number. And I thought nothing of it until 2 weeks later when I got a phone call. And the call was, Billy, can you be Sylvester Stallone stunt standing?
right,
Well, I was quite shocked.
brilliant. Yeah, because you got to meet Sly in the end, didn't you? What's he like? He's meant to be a really nice guy.
Sly's amazing. He's a lovely guy. He seems to always be in character as well. Like
Right,
he is who he is on screen as he is off screen. Hey, yo, Billy, how you doing? There wasn't anything different. It was not like, he is who he is.
sure.
But there was an air of like, you could tell when he came on set, people felt like, it was like, don't do that as we're told, really. I felt quite inferior initially, you know what I mean? Because the atmosphere was like, this is the guy, this is the man, and, he's the boss, and
Yeah,
people were running around. But I got over that pretty quick, and his manager was actually from Liverpool, Kevin King, lovely fella. And once he knew I was from Liverpool, I was
you got on. Yeah,
I was on his case then to get a picture at least with Stallone because he wasn't really in the mood for getting pictures taken with anyone.
I've seen that. Yeah, I posted that today on Twitter actually, Billy. So that's a good picture of him leaning forward with the dyed. I think he dyed his hair, didn't he?
Yeah.
But Yeah, I've had a friend who worked with him actually, and he was saying that he's very down to earth. He's very, he's quite similar, isn't he, as he is like all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
Very, very sort of approachable compared to a lot of the stars here, you know. Um,
Yeah, I mean, he was fine. I mean, Kevin asked him once, and he took me inside his little caravan, and we were in there talking, and I mean, I was into Rocky, and I told him like that was, I grew up watching movies, like Rocky movies, and it kind of motivated me to become a little bit of, to box, and
yeah,
thank him for that. Had a few pictures taken with him, and
must be quite. It's quite weird in a way. You're boxing, you're drug dealing, going to bars, and then you're in Chiang Mai, and there's Stallone sort of walking around. It's quite sort of
well,
surreal in
this
a way,
this
isn't it?
all this other stuff happened after the movie. I mean, at that time, I was quite, every sanity, I was quite aware of like what was going on. I was abstinent from any movie or mind altering chemicals. It was living a dream. I was boxing of an evening. I was training through the day, and I was on set when I was needed on Unit One, and life was just
Yeah,
like amazing, really, to be honest.
yeah.
There's no downfall.
No. Was there any other foreigners working there, Billy, with you on set of the Rambo film?
Oh yeah, yeah. There was quite a few. I'll
Yeah.
be frank. There was one guy called Yanni. He was quite obsessed with Stallone. He even had the long hair, and he was from Australia, and he was really, really, really like obsessed to a point which like
Yeah.
was beyond. He travelled. He actually travelled from Australia
Wow.
to see if he could get the opportunity to be an extra, and he came along and he did get the opportunity to get an extra, but he was just unhappy. He was he
I
was quite a character.
I've been on a few movie sets here. They are quite surreal, aren't they? Sometimes in Thailand, the way they're arranged and the way it's organised, it's quite a weird experience. It's interesting and fascinating stuff. So what happened after that then, Billy? You were still doing the training, blah blah blah. You got caught. We're back. We're digressing here. We're getting carried away with Sly. So they came to your place, and then what was the procedure after that? Did you go straight to the jail, or did they interview you, or what happened?
He took me straight to the police station.
Mm.
Stuck me in a cell.
Uh-huh.
Uh, with 3 or 4 of the ties, and just left me there. Gave me a bag of drugs because before he took me to the police station, explained that I'd had an injury and they needed me medication, and I showed him the scars, and it was quite apparent that I needed something. So he took me to a chemist where
Uh-huh.
I could buy Xanax, I could buy diazepam, I could buy methadone, which I did. Which is the medication I told him that I needed, but was the medication that I was dependent on. So I spent what cash I had on me, which wasn't much, on those drugs, which was about 2,000 baht worth, which was quite a lot. I was in a brown bag. They kept over the brown bag, but once they put me in the cell, he handed me the brown bag, the whole lot. I was quite like,
It's weird.
well, it's a controlled drug. How are they going to
Yeah.
keep hold of it and administer
Yeah.
them needed?
Yeah. You wouldn't get that in the UK, would you?
No, no, no. So I was quite like delighted, really, to be honest. But what happened then is one of the side guys with a little bit of foil, and there was a light there, and I got the little tablets out and started taking a few. They weren't really interested in I got these drugs out, and they were quite excited that I got some yabba. I put the yabba out on this little like plastic pillar that he had, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden the gates opened, and my name was called. So I left them there, shot off, was fingerprinted, interviewed, and then sent back to cell. But by that time, the drugs that I'd taken had kind of started to take effect, so I was really kind of very, very lousy. And within seconds of going back to the cell, I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And when I woke up, the drugs were gone.
So how was your Thai then, Billy? Were they interviewing you in English and?
Yeah, they were convinced I could speak Thai.
Yeah.
And all I could say was, "My house, I could pass the time of day now." And you couldn't believe me. I wasn't really like I only had like kind of minimal dialogue. It was just like basic kind of "Sabadi mai" and "How are you" and "What's your name?" Stuff like that. There was no kind of like conversation. And when they speak back, it was like what I've said and they respond. I couldn't really understand what they were saying.
Wow. So they just made you sign something, guilty as charged. Was there no court case? It was no trial. It was just no bail, straight to jail.
Yeah, straight to prison.
Wow.
They took me to court. Well, I think it was on like I went upstairs, literally seconds. I think it was about 30 of us in the dock all at once. That's how they do it. It's like you're all in the dock, and then your name gets called. You stand up,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
what's said is said and tie, and then you're told to go downstairs, and that was it. So
what was the time frame between being arrested and actually being put your first night in jail? How long did that take?
it took. I think I was in a cell for about 3 days in the police station, and then goes to court, and from court I went straight to Chiang Mai Central Prison.
Wow. So a lot of people listening to this, certainly foreigners, living here, would go, "Well, hang on a second. What about the British Embassy? Did they get involved? Did they help? Did they do anything?"
To be honest, the British Embassy, their hands were tied. There's not really much they could do. It was, and actually they weren't even British that came to see me. One was a Thai lady, and one was an Australian lady called Kate Duval. She wasn't from the UK, so she came and just asked me, did I need any stamps to contact my family, or would there any way anything she could do in the ways of like getting a lawyer and stuff, and I said I couldn't really afford one, so there was no point in getting a lawyer.
Wow. So after that, your first night in prison, or you arrived in the day or the evening? How?
It was the evening. I remember exactly because I couldn't understand what was going on, and there was a few guys in there with leg irons on, and we had like a brown uniform with shorts and a sock. Some had green ones with red stripes on them around their arms, and some had brown ones with green stripes on the arms. And I learned that the green ones were people who were into drugs, and the red stripe was people who were for really serious crimes, and people who were just in normal brown, regular kind of criminals, basically.
Yeah.
So we were called out. Names were called out. I had my name, William Moore. So I just
Right. Nice.
Went to the guy, and I taken out and put on this like, it was like a van with wire mesh all around it. That was rammed with about 60 inmates. So it was like standing up, squashed, and then taking on this journey, which was about 15 minutes.
So you all had those leg ties on, right? Those leg ankle chains.
At that time, no, because they're only put on yet within the prison.
Right.
So I was like, my legs were kind of free at the time. It was only when I arrived at Chiang Mai Central Prison that they were put on. We arrived in the evening, but it was quite surreal. It was quite eerie as well, because I remember seeing these two great big lions, big stone lions with red eyes, each side of these massive gates. And the first thought is the lion's den. I'm heading into the lion's den here. This is where I'm going, and gates opened slowly. Like right up the heart of me.
Yeah, it's like a film, but real.
Yep. Yeah, and we drove in, and then doors got shut behind us, and we were all taken off the bus and told to sit down. And there's a lot of people getting screamed at, and a few were getting whacked on the back with a few bats, and as you sort of just kept your mouth shut and just sat there. And
yeah.
Then we were masked into a courtyard where we were all told to strip naked and searched internally and externally by a guy who wore the same glove and wanted to stick his finger in places where, you don't do that, you know what I mean? You wanted to stick a finger in the arse, so I just happened to the guys standing next to me. And I was like, whoa, change them gloves. And he looked at me as if it was stupid, and I went, there's no way you're putting your finger up my backside with that glove.
Right, but you did anyway.
No, he didn't. He changed the glove, and then he did.
Okay, nice. That was polite of him. Yeah. So how many did they have you in one cell?
70. There was 70 in the cell I went in. Wow. I remember it well. First, you had to get a shower in this freezing cold water. It was in the evening, and there was a thick film of like dirt and scum, on top of the water. And I was like, this is what we're supposed to wash in. So, showered in that. No towel, no nothing, just sort of got the grip right. And then, sat down, and we were given some food, which is, I couldn't even describe. It was quite horrible, really. It was unedible. It was like a beef, but it was like chewing on a flip flop. Yeah. You know what I mean? Little pieces of fat and, like a soup and a bit of sticky rice.
Yeah.
So, and then from that point, we were all marched up to the cell block. I walked in, and the group, the room leader was saying inside to the guys that were coming in the side, you sleep there, blah, 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 blah. And then me, I'm over there, and I looked, and there was a guy with a blanket over his face.
Sorry, say again, a bag?
No, a blanket. No, blanket.
A blanket, right.
Yeah, he had it over his face, over his body. And there was a space in between him and a ladyboy, and that was where I was told to stay for the duration while I was in that cell. I kind of refused. I said, we're having a laugh. This guy looks dead to me. And the ladyboy was the only one who spoke English, and she said, no problem, he died, he go to Malone. Made me happy, and I was like, made me happy, dead, he's just moving now, what's going on here?
So your first night you slept next to a dead man?
A dead man and a ladyboy called Tiffany.
Yeah.
He just kept looking at me, smoking, puffing away and going, hello, I like your blue eyes.
But it's interesting, isn't it? So that became your first kind of like companion in there, but because he spoke English, right? That became your friend,
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of helped me a lot. At first, I thought he fancied me. I thought, no problem.
Yeah, but I guess in that situation though, like it's like a lifeline, isn't it, of communication? What was like the average day then? I think a lot of people are fascinated by Thai jails, aren't they? And they see the books and I know the films sometimes are not real, and they get this kind of it gets romanticized, which you know you didn't do at all with the book, and the film hasn't either, has it? And I think that's the sort of key to the success because there's been a lot of films made about Thai prisons, and if you go at the airport, Asia Books, you'll see many books about Thai prisons. Um, what do you think? How is yours? How is the book different, and how do you think the film is going to be different from all those other stories? What sets it apart?
The courage to be brutally honest sets it apart from the books I've read before. Because I was reading books, I was thinking, no, this is definitely kind of exaggerated. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You know, because there's people going in and they're acting tough and you know the hardest person in there and there was no danger and I was like, I've done this, I've done that, and I thought, oh, it's not this kind of experience I'm having, you know what I mean? You know, you get it over the head with a chair, you get knocked out, you don't get up. It's not like a Bruce Lee movie that snaps over your head and you just start fighting with everyone else. So you get it over the edge, you see stars and blood back pouring out, you know, and you trying to defend yourself.
Because I think this is what people are fascinated by about it all. Because what is the average day like then? So that initial day's gone. What was your first day at school like? Really, what was it?
Well, the first average day was like kind of like going into the newcomers kind of quarters where we had to wait in the queue, get our head shaved. For initially it was breakfast, and it was like there must have been about 500 inmates in this one hallway.
Uh-huh.
It was just like mass-produced food that was just getting slopped into the bowls. 5 of you would share a plate of sticky rice, and you'd have a little soup, a bowl of soup. And I remember sticking my spoon in it and pulling out half a chicken's head.
Right.
With still its crown on, and a little eye, and I just like, oh my God, what the hell? Are you doing here? You know what I mean? And I was ready to throw away, and one of the guys went, no. I just grabbed it off the spoon and just started chewing on it. I was like, you know what I mean? And
that was the good stuff to him because it was, protein, right? I guess.
Yeah, and I don't know what it was. He just snapped away at it, you know what I mean? And, I was looking at it, I was smelling it, and it stunk, you know what I mean? So we had to kind of get a little bit of sticky rice, dip it in, and pinch my nose, and just swallow it, really, because I was that hungry.
What sort of things did you witness in there?
The first thing I witnessed was rape, and it was gang rape, and it was like, it was a young guy, and it was like a place where you could, where you use where you go the toilets, the set sides, in the main kind of complex. And what they do is they build little tents, the lady boys, and they sell themselves off for packets of cigarettes, so they do getting their bodies off. So, people be going in and out. And I seen this young guy getting dragged into this tent by these four Thai guys. The screams were just like, horrendous, really.
No guards getting involved, no kind of...
The guards, you very rarely saw them. They were always in the command centre. They'd be, the prison would be kind of run by the blue shirts who just, who'd send a blind guy, but, these guys, they'd get, this guy would be raped, they'd go inform the officers of what had happened to him and pointed the guys out that did it, and they were all up and put in a punishment cell.
I remember you saying about the stabbing incident.
That was when I was transferred from Chiang Mai to Klong Krem Lad Yao in Bangkok. I And I got involved with drugs over there because there was a lot more, access to them in Hong Kong, but it being such a big prison. With the likes of heroin, yabba, early pharmaceuticals that were like diazepam, Xanax, lorazepam. There was a lot of that going on. So, I developed a habit pretty quick without any money. It was all laid on by a guy called Elias. And he was from Burma, spoke very, very good English. Told me not to trust the ties, and I didn't even trust him because he was kind of very slippery. He was overly keen on kind of like giving you stuff, and his motive, like, paying interest, Because I was so desperate initially, I ended up accepting some money off him. Got someone to go and get me some heroin, and I found a habit.
Yeah.
I was in debt, and I was getting told that you need to pay this off, and I was explaining that I would once, my visit at a lab at 5 cigarettes, and I covered it, and they said, okay, we'll give you 2 weeks. One of them pulled his condom and started spraying it in front of me, and I thought, it was quite intimidating, and one was like throwing the finger into his throat, this is what's going to happen. And in that duration of then 2 weeks, this young guy I'd seen running, screaming actually as he was running, with this other guy behind him with a big knife, chasing him. And as he ran past me, a Thai guy come running out from beside me with a chair and just whacked this kid in the face with the chair, which knocked him off balance. He fell over. And then this other guy just started stabbing away. I mean, there were death shots, it was cold and calculated, it was nothing like, it wasn't frenzied or it wasn't like, it was just mad. It was like, you could see that he was aiming for targets, right in the chest, in the neck, in the back, in the lungs, in the heart. It was just everywhere. Even in his legs, he was just getting mutilated. He was crawling as he was getting stabbed, and a crowd was forming, and I learned a bit more Thai by this time, and all I heard was "Pen Cow, Carman," which I knew then was, stab him, kill him. But I mean, no one was intervening. No one was stopping him. I was in full view of everything that was going on, and I was just in shock. I was just numb. It was like everything was so surreal. It was like everything was going on in slow motion. Until it eventually did stop, and 2 officers, just came strolling over. It was like,
wow.
It's like, what happened really. You know what I mean?
Like breaking up a school fight.
Yeah, what had happened then is they just put him on a trolley. He was still alive by this time, but he was dying, you know what I mean? Put him on a trolley, and it's pushed him.
Wow, he died?
Yeah, he died.
Yeah.
He died before he even reached the gates.
How many times would that happen? Would you see that? Things
like
that.
It wasn't on a daily basis, but it was quite regular. There was, that type of stuff. I'd seen a guy who had a fight with some other guy. He stabbed him with a pick knife. A pick ice, right to the chest or somewhere. And then this was early in the morning.
Because they sharpen spoons, don't they, and stuff? They, to make them into picks.
So I'm talking that these people have got machetes, they've got hatchets, they've got all kinds of weapons that they've made kids are going to do that. Well, this guy got caught, and you know, he was known for having HIV. There was a group called the Samurais that were HIV infected. Junkies who, you know, at the heroin monopoly, and they go and the guys had caught this guy, who'd stepped this other guy, and took him to the commander's office. And next moment, the doors are through open. Two blue shirts come out, and three prison officers come running out.
Mm.
And then this guy came out with stab wounds all over his chest, with blood pouring out, and the pick ice handle to his neck. And the first thought I thought was, while everyone was watching that, this was a distraction. I head toward the water tank and get myself some hot water, because the queue was usually that long that, you know, by the time you got your water, there was nothing there. So I thought I'd get a decent cup of coffee.
Wow. You become desensitized, yeah.
Yeah, I just became conditioned, so like, it was just normal, you know what I mean? It was another episode of
it's weird, isn't it? They say that about film. It becomes like a film because, you know, when they have things like censorship arguments about should films show this, and you know, they've proved that, you know, the more you watch violence, you do become desensitized, and you're saying exactly the same thing, but in reality.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fights with sides myself. Well, I was in there.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how many, you know, obviously I know we're jumping around a bit here, but before we get onto the actual, the training and the Muay Thai and then the book, how many incidents did you actually get in real fights before the Muay Thai?
Must have been at least 3 or 4 times. And the first times with 3 foreigners, we were bullying 2 of the foreigners. We were old guys. One was from Italy and one was from America. I mean, these two guys had brought it on themselves. You know, they were quite good, but it was quite unfair. They were all, you know, one was like 55, and the other was, you know, more or less 60.
Yeah.
And these 3 other foreigners, 2 Australians and an Iranian, were always screaming at themselves, you know, abuse at them, and I was sharing the cell with them, and I could see how upset it made them, you know what I mean? And 3 of them surrounded me, because the cells were next to each other, so, you know, there was no really escape. It was, my back was up against the wall. The Iranian guy was about 6'2", was in my face screaming, and he was saying, "Who do you think you are?" And all that, and I just thought he was going to start attacking me, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And he threw a punch, which he kind of like dodged. And then somehow I managed to kind of just lean in and start biting on his neck.
Yeah.
And I just wouldn't let go. But while I was doing that, I was getting it. I was pulled by these 2 Australians. But I was like a dog with a bone, I wasn't letting go, and this other guy was just screaming. And then blood was just like coming out of his neck, and, you know, these blue shirts came down the corner, broke it up. They got off, and they were screaming at me, "You're gonna die, you're gonna die." And I'm like, "Look, I've been that before, you know."
How did that begin then with the Muay Thai fighting within the prison itself?
There was a guy called, there was a prison officer called Prasit, and he quite, he kept calling me on side, which was his little brother, you know, and he was like, you know, quite concerned for me well-being, and, you know, he suggested to get him, you know, we were going to fight because of, you know, I've been punished a lot. You know, I've been put in cells with death row inmates, you know, for quite some time, and it was quite austere, and it was quite kind of frightening. You know, I was sleeping with death there, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And, you know, once it come down out of the punishment cells after so many months, you know, I had to speak to him, and he said, "Look, if you're going to fight in the ring, So I went over to the boxing part of the prison with all the young boxers for training, and the trainer, Chamnan Sajai, just refused to let me in. Initially, I'd stand at the gate and, he'd be screaming at me, machine gun inside, like, bye, go, go, go. And I noticed he smoked a lot, so I bought some, they call crumb pick cigarettes. So I bought an account of them, like the sleeve. And I offered them to man, and before I moved the gate open, I was in there.
Right. So the guy that taught you, were they actually all like, real ex Muay Thai fighters, or were they just teaching you Muay Thai?
No, I thought I'd be learning Muay Thai by then because I was already fighting within before I went to prison. So I had skills at that level anyway. So as soon as I went in and he gave me a pair of gloves, no one spoke to me. They all looked at me like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And I got a pair of bad gloves and got in the bag and started working out, kicking it and elbows and just training really hard, really.
How does it work though? How does it work then, Billy? Because from like training myself, we do a diet and rest, and if you're having fights in a ring with other prisoners in the prison, how does it work training wise? Like how often would you train? How long? Would you still eat the same food? Could you get rest? How did you manage to actually, Muay Thai fights are hard enough outside. How did you manage to do that and have a training regime and a diet and everything else, and the discipline to do it within the prison?
Well, it became like, Thais are really generous when it comes to food, you know what I mean, and sharing it with you. So, you invited me for something sweet, and the food that they were getting was like from their own families that were getting brought in.
Yeah.
Which was like, which is a delight to the stomach as well as the arm, you know what I mean? And he moved me into their cell, so I was in the sports cell, the boxing room cell. I was getting fed well. I was running every morning with them, and then we'd be in the ring and we'd be shadow boxing and on the like bag work, and then it was sparring. And so that was the kind of regime, you know what I mean? At the end we'd have a rest. We'd all be sleeping under the ring because it was, it was so hot. But under there, it was just full of mosquitoes.
So you were sort of hanging out with the other guys that you would be fighting, essentially.
Yeah, we became friends,
Did like the attitude, with the guards and the other people in the prison, did it change when you started sort of doing the Muay Thai?
Yeah, definitely. Because that changed with it really. I stopped using it.
Stop off the drugs.
Yeah, stopped using drugs and
kind of Muay Thai. Yeah, Muay Thai kind of saved you then in a way inside, right? It gave you that.
Yeah, it was like an escape from the austerity of it all. Then it was like it was something.
A goal.
Yeah, something I enjoyed doing. I was fit. And then Songkran came along and we would have like competitions within the prison, and I was asked to fight one of their best fighters. Um, Two partners, Songkran Festival.
Right.
So I agreed to it, and he put me with a guy called Pon. He disliked me for some reason. He was like, why?
Nice, yeah.
That was the insult he used to say.
Yeah.
Palangay, why? I hear all these horrible names, and I didn't really know what he was saying.
Just fighting talk, yeah.
Yeah, I just knew from the way he was speaking, it was kind of, the tone wasn't kind of, I'm your mate. And I was up against him. That's who they put me up against.
Because Thais are quite proud about fighting. Like if they fight a Falang, they kind of have to win, don't they? Because it's like this is Muay Thai and it belongs to us.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like the king's birthday, they all, they get when you see on TV the fights here that I watch between the Falangs and the Thais on special events, they seem to be at a higher level because of the pride, what's at stake, So that's interesting, yeah, because I think the Muay Thai saves a lot of people like that, doesn't it? It gives them a goal, gives them a discipline, it gives them something to reach.
It was something to wake up. I enjoyed waking up to something to do. You know what I mean? Instead of like just walking down, lost. So go on and saying and Chinan saying that we became best of friends and he was just so amazing. He told me his story. He was he was a young soldier. He was in his 40s. He was about 45 by the time I met him. And he'd been in prison for like 18 years. But his offence was murdering 2 police officers.
Right.
But the reality of it was, he was a young soldier, and these 2 police officers, this is his story, pulled him aside to question him, being drunk, messing up with the guns. He had his own peace because of his job.
Yeah.
I just knew that, it was either them or him, so he pulled out his guns and shot over them.
Wow.
He's free now, which is good.
Yeah. It's amazing how the system works in Thailand, isn't it?
Yeah, but he was a really, really good guy, you know what I mean? He was really loving, really caring, really gentle soul.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived here for 12 years and it still amazes me what I hear and see every day, When did the book develop? How did that start, Billy? When did you start writing this book? When did the idea come to you?
Documenting actual factual information on a daily basis in a journal. Sort of core stuff. By the time I got to Wandsworth, I got quite a lot of stuff that I broke. And I remember writing, just on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Out the experience within that cell with Tiffany and that body, and being descriptive and how I felt with him, and talking about the smells. And I asked one of the staff at Wandsworth Prison in the education department to read it and give me an opinion on it. Give me some feedback, and she read it, and she came back the next day, and she was just overwhelmed and excited, and said, "You're going to write, you need to continue to write." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, what I've just read was adding. I actually felt I was there. All my senses were aligned, and it was."
Yeah. Because something I wanted to ask you from before was, so did you start writing the book in the Thai prison, Billy, or was it until you after you got sent back to the UK?
After I got sent back to the UK, I mean, I wrote down like the meat potato, which I just think is a bit of a baby.
Right.
And then once I got to Wandsworth.
Did you know this was going to be a book? I mean, you didn't know it was going to be made into a film, but did you conceptualize it as an actual book, or was it you just, was it just a therapy, a form of sort of cathartic release, just getting this out of your system to kind of get rid of those demons, writing it down? Because they say writing is one of the best therapies. Was it that? Was it therapy for you?
Definitely, it's definitely therapy, but it's also definitely something I've always wanted to do. You know what I mean? I've always wanted to write a biography and share my experience with others. So
even before this happened?
Yeah, many years ago. I remember being in a prison in Stafford. I was 25 years old, and I was on the top bunk, and there was an Irish guy called Terry Jenkins, who, he's dead now, rest in peace. I said, "You know what, Terry, I'm going to write a book about my life." And he went, What for, you idiot? Who's going to read a book about you? You got nothing to say. You're nothing but a junkie. You forget about writing a book. There's nothing important about you.
Nice.
You know what I mean? It wasn't, you know. So that kind of like...
That probably encouraged you in a way, right?
Yeah, it's like, you know, then going to Thailand and having all these experiences, like, you know, like teaching English, you know, working for Stallone, getting involved in the underworld of Thailand and the boxing, and, you know, and then heading into prison and experiencing stuff that, you know, you couldn't even conjure up in your worst nightmares, you know what I mean? And I thought this is something people need to know about, you know what I mean? It's just something that is just totally unbelievable.
Yeah.
So we had a story to tell, you know, even just telling a story to people who like were fascinated. So I thought, well, you know, maybe we should write something about it. I never in a million years thought it would become a book. Never mind a movie, but
I think it helps. I think it helps a lot of people, doesn't it? Really, like some of the people I've spoken to who have been in prison, and other people I've interviewed with, you know, fighters and with different kind of backgrounds. If they write, it helps them. There's like a psychotherapeutic process that they go through, that when they write, when they get it out, when they get it down, you know, the actual process, whether it's going to be made into anything or not, if it's just, it's like a diary, you know, it's why people have diaries, isn't it? Just to get it out there, you know, it helps to kind of vent and to process what's happened away, isn't it? That's a part of it, I'm sure. Like, let's I really want to kind of move on to the movie. How did the transition go from A Prayer Before Dawn, the book, to the movie? How did that happen?
once the book was released, it was released in Thailand initially by a guy called Derek Sharon. I can say that. He sent him the synopsis, and well, I sent a lot of letters to a lot of publishers and got loads of rejections. It's super sad, I mean, I did something pushing forward. And then he responded and said, look, I like what you've got to work on. So have you finished this book? Actually finished it? I said, no, I've got so many chapters and, you know, I'm pretty sure. So he said, look, I'd like to advance you. You know, the rights of talking series for it, if that's okay. So,
Let's talk about the film then, because I got invited to a behind-the-scenes day um, to shoot there with Nicholas and Stefan, you know, who was the director of the film, wasn't he? And with Indochina, the production company, and I went to the prison with Vitya, who kindly introduced me to the crew, and got to meet Joe Cole, who's the actor who plays yourself, the English actor. And it was great. I got to travel around the prison and watch them film and take some photographs. You couldn't actually come to Thailand, could you? Because you're banned.
yeah,
So you unfortunately couldn't come to that set, but they did a second shoot in the Philippines, right?
we've done a second shoot in a place called Cebu in the Philippines. It was a prison that was active.
So you got moved to the Philippines, or was that just for the film?
No, that was just for the film.
Oh, okay. Why was
Still,
that? Why, that was for
still,
more extras, I think.
yeah, it's still supposed to be Thailand. You know what I mean? It's not like it's going to go to the Philippines for a fight.
Yeah.
It's just that they travel from one prison in Thailand to another, and you know,
Okay.
because of the similarities of
Right.
the Filipinos, and the
Location thing.
prison itself was quite similar, and it held 3,000 inmates. We had 3,000 extras.
Wow, that's a big.
That were all screaming down the string that had been set up.
Yeah, it was fantastic. There was about 200 extras when I was in the Bangkok prison, and Joe was doing his thing, and it was the scene that they were actually filming was what you were talking about from the book earlier, where it was one of the last fights you had with, I think it was with the champion guy, and then they had the Songkran day.
Yeah, that was Pon. They changed the name, obviously. But I said, look, everyone's even called Pon, Som, you know.
Pom, Pack, or Tom, yeah.
Yeah, they've all got the same names, I mean, not. They're all kind of similar, so, you know, but, you know, just for the names, you can change his names or something else. But that guy, that fight that you've seen, with a lot of blood really was down the year, and then.
That's right, with the ear cut.
Yeah, it was,
how did that happen? What was?
that happened way before, you know, when I was 16, I got me because of fighting in the streets.
Oh, I see. So it was an old injury, and he caught it with an elbow or something, or?
Yeah.
I see.
However,
yeah.
that's in the movie. He's got serious.
Yeah, because that was the day that I was there. That was, I think, one of the last days they filmed in Thailand before they went to the Philippines.
Yeah, that's right. Because I think the guy he was fighting, he had an injury and I think he done it in 3 takes.
Yeah, it was a great scene. I got some good photos, which I'll send you.
You'll have to send them so because I haven't got any.
Yeah, they haven't let me release them yet, but I will do. That's
fantastic. I'll share some with you.
That's fantastic. So you got to meet Stefan and Joe and the crew and some of the extras.
Yeah, I've met Jean-Stéphane and Joe way before Thailand. They came to my house. They came to Liverpool.
I understand that. I remember you mentioning before that you actually got a little cameo role at the end of the film, right?
I was asked by Jean-Stéphane and my father, ever been to prison to see me. I don't know, but he always wanted him to. He said, well, in this movie, your father will come to see you.
Nice.
So now it's not going to happen. He said, because I want you to play your father. He said, be a privilege, and I was just like...
Yeah, that was a nice little tribute then, I guess, at the end. You actually got to be in the film and you did a scene with Joe Cole, right? So you're playing... Yeah, you're playing your dad, and Joe Cole is playing you, just for the people listening, to put it in context, because they obviously haven't seen the film yet.
You know, I had to kind of, you know, get into the character and, you know, being my own father, and, you know, Joe being me, you know, I had a resentment with my dad. The way, you know, I was brought up and beat up and, you know, mistreated and, you know, not loved, and, you know, there was a lot, you know, I always wanted to impress him, and I always wanted him to kind of show, to feel some kind of love, or even hear it from him, to be honest, but I was quite angry, so I might explain that to Joe. I said, you know, see your dad,
yeah.
This is how I'd react, and, you know, he just walked in, looked, stopped, as soon as he seen it was me, and then walked towards the screen that was separating us, the little mesh thing, and just stared at me, and that's all we did. We just stared at each other. That's what the director wanted. Was just no words. We did a few takes, just stare at each other, and that was quite difficult. You know what I mean? For 5 minutes, just like looking at each other.
Yeah.
And then another take was like, ad lib. Say what you'd want to say to your son. You know what I mean? If your dad turned up. That kind of really was emotional, but, you know, because, you know.
It's kind of strange, isn't it? But like, I know a lot of actors and movie stunt guys here, most being martial artists, and they spend their whole lives trying to get into a book or a movie, and you ironically did both and ended up playing your own father, which it's quite an interesting achievement, really.
It was quite emotional, to be honest. It was quite hard, but it was, at the same time, I had a tumour that was coming out of my neck, and it was quite big, and it was quite apparent, you could see it. So I felt really insecure, uncomfortable about playing this role. And
yeah,
Dad died 2.5 years previously of cancer.
Right.
So ironically, me standing in front of Joey, me, as my father, with cancer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Life
You
imitating
know,
art.
and yeah, and I looked at Joe, and what I did is imagine he was my son, and you know, I got to that point where I said, you know what, we miss your son. You know, we care about you. We love you. You're okay. And he just like didn't respond. Just carried on looking at me, and then you could see that he was welling up, and he put his head down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he looked up and went, you know, I miss you too. That, and it was quite it was quite, it really was. 100%.
Did it give you some sort of closure, Billy, in a way?
It did, yeah. It gave me like, give me the opportunity to tell my son
Yeah.
I love him.
Because even though it was a fictional, that was obviously the book and the film is very much very real, very factual. That scene's a fictional scene, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
But in a way, it's quite nice because what you've done there, you've obviously, after the process, you wrote the book, then you got the film, but it allowed you to again, kind of, I guess, close that story, that chapter of your life, and move on.
Well, my dad, the book was published before my dad died, and he never ever read it. You know what I mean?
Uh huh.
I'm glad he never, because you know there was a lot about him in the beginning. At the end, they did acknowledge, you know, change, and because we, you know, after he came back, you know, we became that little bit closer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was living on his own, and he was, you know, he was quite lonely. And although he had loads of family, you know, he still missed his mum, and his mum was his first true love. But you know, he lost her, and that was it.
You know, I think that you know that final sort of chapter. I guess even if it's not full closure, it's a nice opportunity to at least kind of you know push you through, right? Do it, be it managing to do that. You know, have the book and then the film. You know, to at least move on because to me the book really the story is about it's about change, isn't it?
Yeah, it
You
was
know,
about change. It was about
because
more about redemption.
it's really a story about change, isn't it? About change and progression, and you know, kind of making something which initially was negative into a positive, and moving on. I think that's the underlying kind of inspirational message of both the book and the film, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was always doing things that I didn't want to do and going to places that I didn't want to go, and I knew that you know I was better than kind of addiction, and you know I didn't feel right about. I was quite driven. You see, it was like it wasn't. You know, there's no blame, there's no excuse. You know, I picked up. You know, I had a choice, and the choice I chose was to take that path of destruction. Really,
Yeah.
I wanted to change. I wanted to be a part of society. I wanted to be involved in the community and have my mum proud of me, and
Mm.
not having to worry or to be afraid that you know there's going to be a knock at the door and be told his son had been found dead.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm really looking forward to seeing that final scene, and I understand that involved with a charity, a foundation for cancer at the moment.
I've got a GoFundMe page which is kind of help support me with the holistic therapies and different approaches for cancer treatment.
Okay.
Because initially I'm on chemotherapy, which is quite horrendous. I've got one more session of chemotherapy left, which is next week, and then after I've got to wait 6 weeks for results.
Mm.
to have a scan to see whether it's in remission or it's spread. So that's quite.
Well,
I'd be quite anxious.
I think it's an important thing. My father was diagnosed with cancer of the neck as well. So, I think it affects so many people. It's always an important issue, isn't it?
It certainly is, yeah. It's like, it not only destroys the individual, but it destroys the family.
The people around. This is it. It affects everyone. I mean, I'm in Thailand, and, luckily my parents get to come over and maybe once a year. And, I hear that message. We'll put all that in the show notes. And all the links to help promote anything that you want to get out there.
If you could, please, Sony, if you could put like the link to the book or the link to the GoFundMe page, which I think I've sent you anyway.
Oh yeah, that's the way we do it here, Billy. We promote the hell out of everything.
What money I get from the book, I've kind of donated.
Yeah.
My royalties to the
right.
All the Hay Children's Hospital Cancer Ward, because I think people that help me, at least I can help others. You know what I mean?
Sure. I think when things like this happen, and whether it's directly or indirectly, it affects the people around you as much, and you realise what life's about, and it's pretty short, and it's very important what we do with the time we have, right?
Yeah. So.
I mean, that brings us very nicely talking of getting the message out there. Obviously we'll help very much, Billy, promoting the book, promoting the film, with everything we do on the channel. Speaking of which, we want to do a giveaway. I know we talked about this briefly before. Trying to get some of the merchandise out there from the film, and also maybe a couple of lovely books signed from the author himself.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get some sense over.
They're not going to get stopped, Billy, are they, by the police knocking on my door? Hang on a minute, where's this? This isn't coming from Billy Moore, is it?
Sure.
Of course. All right, mate. That's wicked, Billy. Cheers, mate. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Please talk to you again, Tony. You take care, my mate.
I will, mate. All right. Take care, Billy. Speak to you again sometime.